and welcome to Kinda Keto with Donna. I'm Donna. I have been dying to make this recipe for the last couple of months. It's definitely a good cold weather recipe. It's going to be a Piggy Mac. Yes, you heard me right, a Piggy Mac. So I'm going to show you just a few little steps it takes to make a wonderful keto version of a Piggy Mac. And this is what it looks like. So I got this beautiful mac and cheese with this beautiful pork that has been cooking in a crock pot, and some green onions, lots of cheese. It's just comfort food, and it's winter. It's just so good. And cheese sauce that is so easy to put together. So follow along with me. So first you need a big butt. I like big butts that cannot lie. Well, hopefully you don't have a big butt anymore, or you're working on whittling it down. And here's one of the recipes that's so good, and it still help you whittle it down. Anyway, so this is my pork butt I got at Sam's Club a while back. Had it in the freezer. It was $1.98 a pound. So this whole thing is $15.71, and you know how many servings we're going to get out of this sucker? So this is definitely a good deal, and I'm going to get ready to trim a little bit of the fat. You know, we like fat, but some of the stuff on the back, we're just going to cut a little of that off and get started. I am making a little bit of a dry rub. You know, we're going to be putting sauce on it later, so I don't want to do a lot of stuff. Even salt and peppers is fine if that's what you have at home. That's probably all you need. But I am doing a tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of cumin. Sometimes I do a recipe that has 2 teaspoons of the chili powder. I'm near the end. I just did like a teaspoon or so. A teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to mix that all up and get ready to rub my butt. Okay, I trimmed most of that, basically the one side of the really thick fat, and patted it dry. Spread my dry rub all over, all sides, back and forth, and just put it in the crock pot. No water, no chicken broth. The pork's going to release its own juices. And I'm going to cook it low and slow, 8 to 10 hours. You can do 10 hours. Or if you want high, then you do 5 to 6 hours on high. Recipe I got from Low Carb Spark, and I really like it. It comes together really easily, which I will show you. So I've got some monk fruit sweetener or swerve granular, and into that bowl I'm going to mix the 4 eggs, and some melted butter. I'm going to leave the link to their recipe in the description box. All right, got your melted butter and all ingredients you should have on hand in your keto kitchen. You're just going to whisk that together. Okay, and then to that we've got some almond flour and baking powder, and we're just going to throw that in there too. That's done already. So you want to just scrape down the sides, just make sure you're not wasting any of this good stuff. And you can adjust your sweetener, obviously. I'm trying to scale back a little bit here and there when I make recipes and see how much I can handle. You know, I still have a sweet tooth. And just make sure that's all incorporated there. Okay, then you got yourself 8x8 pan. Okay, lined with some parchment paper. And while I'm putting this together, which took, you know, all of 2 minutes, I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And let's spread it out. All right, so this is supposed to make 16 pieces. Now it's ready to go in the oven, and it just cooks for about 25 to 30 minutes. Always check with your oven. Mine gets done usually a little earlier, so I always check it at least 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes ahead of time. Fresh out of the oven. Look at how beautifully golden brown that is. So we're going to, of course, let that cool a bit. It is great warm, of course, with some butter, but I'm actually making this for tomorrow, so I will have that already done. All right, now for part 2 of our little Piggy Mac creation, the mac and cheese. So, of course, you have options. I had tried Perfect Keto, makes mac and cheese, probably one of the only companies that does, I think, right now. Quite pricey. Did get some when it was on sale. I do like the noodles because it's made out of lupini flour. So the noodles are great. The sauce, I make my own sauce, which I'm going to show you, and it's much better, I think. Now, last year, when I wanted to make some mac and cheese, I was looking around for, low-carb pastas, and didn't come in time. So instead, I did some of the Banza pasta. That is chickpea pasta. And it made me want to compare different pastas and different carbohydrates. All right, your traditional elbow macaroni is 42 grams of carbs, minus 2 grams fiber. So 40 net carbs. There's Barilla whole grain pasta, which is 39 minus 7 fiber, 32 grams net carbs. The Banza wouldn't be keto, but kind of in a low carb, might work, was 35 minus 5 was 30 grams net carbs. Well, it's 10 grams, for like a serving, so it's 10 grams less carbs than traditional pasta. So if you still wanted that certain bite, or I just love the elbow macaroni, the shape of it, I did do the Banza, and that was very good that day. Today is going to be traditional. This is what you'll need to make this cheese sauce that we are going to put on our cauliflower mac and cheese. Obviously, your cauliflower, I have a nice little bite-sized pieces, little small pieces. And our dairy is going to be our heavy whipping cream, some cream cheese. The recipe just calls for old sharp cheddar, but I decided I'm going to mix it up and put a little, I found some shredded Gouda over at Aldi. So I'm going to do that. And then just some spices. So we got salt, freshly ground black pepper or whatever, black pepper, Dijon mustard. If you don't have this Dijon mustard, you can do ground mustard. I have lots of recipes I use ground mustard for, so I did get a bigger container. You could probably skip onion powder, but onion powder is in the recipe if you have it. And I always have garlic powder. And this recipe I got last year from don'tsweattherecipe.com. So definitely check out that website. And this is just so great. I never tried any other one because it comes together so easily, which you will see. While I'm waiting for my water to boil to put cauliflower in, I took out some of the pork that I made. Just enough for a couple portions, and I'm mixing it with some G-Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. So that's going to be our piggy part. And you're going to boil your cauliflower just for about 5 minutes. Drain it and put it back in the same pan. So it's kind of hot and it dries it off just a little bit more. And we're simmering the heavy whipping cream. And we're going to whisk in the cream cheese. I just thought it'd be easier cutting it up in chunks, but I don't know if you have to. So cream cheese goes in, along with the mustard. I decided to do the Dijon here instead of the ground mustard. It's about 2 teaspoons, so I've got a tablespoon here, a little less, so that's about 2 teaspoons. Just gonna whisk that together. And coming together really fast because it's warming up. It's going to make it nice and creamy. And once the cream cheese is melted, which is already done, We're going to add in our spices and cheese. You got a half a teaspoon of salt, a couple of cranks of pepper, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon onion powder. About there. Okay, and now we're going to throw in the cheese. Meantime, I have preheated my oven to 375. Here comes the cheese. I divvied up a little bit, so you only need 1 1/2 for this part. So here's a cup of the cheddar and a 1/2 cup of the Gouda, because it's so Gouda. And then you're just going to mix it together. You got yourself cheese sauce. Oh, so good. And really, that mustard really does make it, so you definitely need the mustard. All right, it's already, see how thick it's getting? So it's done. And we're just going to pour it over our cauliflower. Mix it up. See, you can't let it stay on there too long. It comes together so fast. Look how nice and cheesy it is. Sorry, it's kind of moving around a little bit. Okay. And then you're going to pour that whole mixture into a greased dish. It's supposed to be an 8x8 dish, but I used that for my cornbread. So I got a nice kind of wider casserole, and that way I have more cheese on top. Okay, that's nice and creamy. So I'm going to spread that out. All right. And then you're going to top it with a little bit more cheese. We're going to bake it in the oven. So you want that nice crispiness on top. So this is about another 1/2 cup. There we go. Now, if I was just doing this first side, there is a pork panko topping you could put on instead of breadcrumbs with the pork panko and Parmesan cheese. I'm not going to do that because we have the pork on top that's going to want to be on top of this. So we're going to put this in the oven for about 15 minutes. Okay, fresh out of the oven. Just going to let it sit for about 5 minutes while I heat up the pork, and we're going to assemble this baby. And here we have keto style Piggy Mac. And doesn't that look decadent? There, so we got Piggy Mac for dinner. Got my homemade cornbread, and look how beautifully that came out. You're nice and soft, but it doesn't come apart. I left some butter out, so it'll be nice and soft. And today I'm going to do a little ice drink. It is the weekend. And this is dinner. Okay, got to dig in. This is something I probably only do like once a year. I should do it more often, that's for sure. Oh, that's so good. It's comfort food. It's still keto. Oh yeah. And with the pork being like on the cauliflower, you get the bite of the cauliflower. I mean, it kind of tastes like noodles. And that sauce is wonderful. Oh yeah. So although there are a few steps, they're all easy steps. So I know you could do it. I mean, there's a crock pot part. You just set it and forget it, as they say. The cheese sauce took all 5 minutes to put together. 5 minutes to boil the cauliflower. I mean, it's awesome. You gotta make it. You don't even have to do it all in one day. I did the pork one day, and while that was cooking, I did the cornbread, and the next day I did the mac and cheese. And I put it all together. Well, thanks for watching, and give it a like. Consider subscribing. And I'd love to hear a comment from you and kind of talk with you. So until next time, bye.